What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer, and yeah, so I did graduate. So thank you for the graduation comments and stuff like that. I really appreciate that. It's very exciting for me. And what better way to kick off a graduation than with a Fresh Start Friday, my favorite video to make on YouTube. If you guys are new to the channel or new to Fresh Start Friday, basically what I do is I have a whole bunch of duels that I will end up showing you guys. I've collected these over the weeks, and I basically felt that these videos shouldn't get separate attention, so they're just kind of hanging there. But there's usually some cool stuff going on that showcases the decks I have throughout this, and all the decks I feature on this one, to my knowledge, have all been featured on deck profile. So if you guys are interested in any of these decks that you see, go ahead and check out my profile, and you will find all of them that you are looking for. Without further ado, we'll just go into it, and I'll just give some general commentary as we go along. I am, of course, playing first the Shaddoll Dark Magician deck, one of my favorite decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! One that I will be taking a long look at very soon, just to see if I can boost the consistency. Of course, I'm never looking to, say that this is going to be meta-defining. That's never the point. But it looks like I'm going to get a double banish here, being able to summon Dragoon normally. And Kevin actually just bought me a Dragoon, which is really cool. So I will be able to probably give you guys, finally, after like 20,000 years, the budget deck profile for the Shaddoll Dark Magician deck, which is really nice. And really, it shouldn't be too different. I think the main difference is just going to be that I don't have Magician Souls, which should be reprinted. I don't know what they're waiting for, but still, this deck is so fun, and it can be frustrating at times consistency wise, but when you do just kind of draw right, I mean, it can overwhelm your opponent because there's just so much going on, and it just really boosts the whole strategy for Dark Magicians for sure. He'll probably end up going the Infinity route, I'm assuming. That's very reminiscent of Galaxy Eyes, or I guess he is taking it somewhere else. So he does get one negate on the board, and I guess he has two technically, so we'll see where he uses them. Basically just force him, and I mean that's pretty much the big part. Now he did have the negate, unfortunately, but I am going to be able to put two monsters on the field, so ultimately at the end of the day it doesn't matter, which is nice. Just the fact that you have so many different backup plans, and normally most of the time, at least in my experience of playing Dark Magicians, if your Rod gets Ash Blossom or negated, your turn's basically over. So it's cool to see that there's more to do than that. Now these are going to be really interesting duels for you. This is Raidraptors, of course, but if you'll notice here, and I'll try to put this in the description so hopefully people who are looking for this can find it. And what I'm also planning on doing is doing a separate video about this, and maybe when the cards come out, I'll do some more combo tutorials. I do have a couple videos already in store for that, so maybe I'll do a few more new combo tutorials for Raidraptors, being that I do have the cards and everything like that. And the other cool thing I like about this duel is that I don't really think that I have shown Dual Avatar too much, or Fist of Fate, I'm not sure what they're called, or Sultan. In any case, it's just a free special summon, and ideally you want to grab a rank up card. What this card does is if it's XYZ summon of a Utopia monster, lets you have a rank up card. And while obviously normal rank 4 decks may have rank up cards, but they're especially powerful here in Raidraptors. Fortunately for me, I did have the Shave in my hand, meaning I will be able to use that, of course, and I can use the attack points for that. He did have Honest, so they ended up going straight into each other, but that's okay. I mean, I have plenty of follow-up plays. I didn't have the Force Strix in the graveyard just yet, so I can't use this Soul Shave Force. He goes for the Call by the Grave, which is absolutely meaningless. He probably should have held it, to be completely honest with you. But this wasn't in the graveyard, but I did have it, the negate ready online, which ended up being a big deal. And obviously now I'm going to be able to use this. And the cool thing about Heal Eagle, and it does let you add that Raidraptor spell or trap back to your hand, which can make a big difference. IXYC summoned. It seems every time I show you guys a duel from Raidraptors, I forget to use the effect to attack all monsters. I truly do apologize for that. What I'm planning to do soon is actually me and Kevin are going to do a live duel, one of them being ABC Cyber Dragon and the other one being the new Raidraptor cards. That way, since I did buy them, it's not a waste, because I did give you guys those deck profiles pretty early on. I was hoping to do them in paper, but it just was taking a little too long, right? So it would be cool to feature them that. And plus, now that I'm graduated, unfortunately, I've had 2 really busy days, but normally when I get into my regular flow and schedule, I will have the ability to make higher edited videos and all that kind of stuff. So that's what a live duel would be a really good way to do that. Looks like he's going to try to Buster Lock me here. And he should be able to do it. Yep, he sure did. I do have the Kaiju, which is going to break everything up. And once I do this, this monster doesn't really do too much. Although I think because they're all dragon monsters, I can't go into Ystrix, the Link monster, because it requires 2 Raidraptor monsters, and I guess they're 2 dragon monsters. But these are generic enough to where they're all dark. It doesn't affect it. I did get that pop off, which is really cool, and then I have the negate. Looks like he does have a face-up monster, and I'll just use my own Kaiju at that point. And now I have kind of a double disruption board with the ability to, of course, pop that card, whatever it is, because sometimes if you just have Fog Bladed, you're actually in a little bit of a difficult spot if you can't get rid of it, because you can't attack that monster. But in Raidraptors, it's just so excessively easy that it's almost ridiculous. This was one of the more interesting duels I think I've had. It was kind of a Kaiju deck, to be honest with you. It was like a Kaiju combo deck. It's a really fun matchup. Game 2, I think I ended up just gammaing him. I was going to show you the match, but that was the result. So I'm like, I don't think you guys just want to see me resolve Gamma and win. I have a pretty clear open board here. I'm sure I'll be able to go full combo in one way or another. Yeah, so it looks like I'm going to get the Dark Requiem, as well as, this is, wow, I mean, that is pretty good. It's not Zexal, but it's 3 monster negates, an Omni negate, no special summoning. That's a pretty hard one to get around. That's a great end board for any deck. I don't care who you are. I have some more Numeron Striker stuff for you. This deck is really shaping up. I'm a huge fan. So if you like Sky Striker, if you like Numeron, this would definitely be the deck for you. It's just, when you have access to every hand trap in Yu-Gi-Oh, you're just going to be able to side so effectively. It does take a lot of skill in terms of, like, you don't have a lot of in-archetype ways to deal with things, so you're really relying a lot on your hand traps. But I think that's okay for what it is. And he left a monster with 2,000 attack, so that's just game ending. When it comes to Numeron, we all know that, which is always going to be the best part of the deck. Sky Strikers inherently have always had an issue with dealing with big monsters, and this just bridges that gap, and it leaves your opponent so vulnerable that they're going to have to play around Numeron Wall, because it can hit you at any time and just end the game in one turn. But I do like that you can also control the pace, and this is exactly what I'm going to do here. He did have the Ghost Ogre, unfortunately for me. So let's see if I can get like a play starter, perhaps. And I do not. I do have the Widow Anchor, which we'll see if that comes in handy with the normal summon of the Invoker. I figure I use the Veiler first. You just never know. And hopefully if I can stall out, maybe I can get that 3rd spell in the grave. And of course I'm able to chain this just to get that free search. I get this Shark Cannon, which could come in handy against Alistair the Invoker. Oh, looks like I fired that off there. Assuming he didn't play the 1 Day of Peace, why, I don't know. If you're going to have it in your deck, you might as well play it, right? And he surrenders, very similar to the last game. This is probably one of the better decks I think I've featured with the matchup in Numeron Sky Striker, and that's Generators. Looks like Dogmatica Generators too. I think, to be honest with you, and from what I've seen, it really does feel like people are using Dogmatica too much. I know it's a pretty small engine, but it just, when you hard draw Fleur-de-Lis and you don't have any access to your other, monsters, that's really a tough place to put yourself in. He went to destroy the monster, and I'm not sure why. So let me give you a 500,000 IQ move here. I know what you're thinking, Spencer. Why would you use Mystic Mine? You can just use Numeron Network. Well, I knew he had a negate, so what you do is you pop the Mystic Mine on first, then you pop their monster, and then you can put Numeron Wall in the game. So those are kind of the small nuanced things, and I was also able to destroy that enemy controller, so the move just became smarter and smarter as time went on. It's just one of those things. He tried to use Salamangreat Almirage. Obviously, he probably would have, but unfortunately for him, it does not protect it from battle. If that did, Almirage would be used probably a lot more. Well, maybe not a lot more, but that'd be a pretty cool effect. So, Numeron Network doing its thing. This is Cyber Dragons, and the reason I love Cyber Dragon ABC so much, and there's obviously going to be quite a few duels from that, it's my favorite deck. When you have to use cards like Dre, and it's not a free special summon, there's so much more value out of the ABC cards than there is out of Dre, and that's why I'm just so preferential to it. So this guy in his mind thinking, I got a Kaiju, whatever he puts on the field, I'll be fine. Well, we all know that you are not fine. And when you just have cards like Mega Clops and everything like that in your extra deck, it's just that there's no stopping you from just, the sky is the limit, Alright. And we can skip that one. Let's check out Gladiator Beast. This is Tri-Brigade Gladiator Beast, which is, honestly, it should work out, right? I know they fusion summon, so no material, probably my favorite card of the format right now. Just completely stops his churn. I didn't draw into any of the Numeron stuff, but I am going to be able to take quite a bit of control in this game, especially when I rip off a Widow Anchor from the top. That's just really good. I'm going to go ahead and pop this Gladiator Beast and just continue the control game. I didn't draw into my Numeron stuff, but that's perfectly fine, because let's say I rip the Numeron wall or some way to get Numeron off the top. I can just activate Widow Anchor, multi-roll, get rid of my own Shizuku, and then I'll have the requirements. I only have that one monster, and that would end the game. And he's going to continue to try to do stuff, but to no avail, as I've completely controlled the game now at this point. I have some more Monarch God here for you. This is against Dogmatica. It looks like Zombie Dogmatica Eldlich. So there's a lot to unpack here. Now, I did draw the card advance in the True Name, which of course is like the perfect opening. And since I did activate card advance, I do have the additional tribute summon inside of the normal summon, and I give myself a little bit of protection along with the Monarch's Erupt. We will see if that is going to move the needle for it. He just hasn't gotten access just quite yet to his Eldlich cards. That's all fine and dandy, of course, but he's really wasting his Arceros now at the end. And I'm lucky that I got this tribute summon off before Zombie War hit the field, because it's like a super hard, just anti-God card. So he's finally going to be able to get into his Scarlet Sanguine stuff, so I got to be a little careful here. But at the very least, his his Dogmatica cards are not going to resolve. They're just not going to be able to. And that's fantastic for him that he has cards like Conquistador. But I do have targeting protection, and I don't think he realizes that. And I think he eventually quit out because he sent his own card to the graveyard. So whatever it's worth, that's what I got out of Obelisk the Tormentor in that duel, which is pretty decent. Here is the Invoked Winged Dragon of Ra deck. It's probably the simplest way to say it. When Invocation does get a reprint, hopefully, this deck will become a lot more affordable, although there's a few cards from that set, namely Egyptian God Slime, that could definitely use a reprint as well. Although the great thing about this is that I only run one copy, so you wouldn't technically have to worry about it. I do have the Macabre in addition to the Rainbow Neos, and that's always just a positive position to put yourself in. I'm going to be able to attack in here, and I could set the Twin Twisters if I really wanted to. I guess in reality I should have, but he didn't draw anything, I guess, that he needed. Here it is against a Abyss Actor deck. I really do think Abyss Actors are one of the worst decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! I really can't tell you why. Every time I see it, I'm like, wow, I'm most likely going to win this matchup. It does need a little bit much support. At least it's just so restrictive, I think, is the real issue. It's a pendulum deck that is extremely restrictive in what you can do. And I think it's dependent on your opponent destroying your back row. So if you're smart enough, of course, you wouldn't do that. Did have the Super Poly, so I guess that's pretty good. But I did have that Monster Reborn, so sorry, not sorry. I'm going to be able to boost this attack, and that's it. I mean, that's why you play this inside of an Invoked Shaddoll deck, and why it makes it a little bit better, because you can do things like that, which is really, really neat. Here is Armed Dragon Dogmatica against the deck. He doesn't have the best turn. Again, Fleur-de-Lis is just such a gosh, how do I even, it's just a brick, man. There's nothing you can do about it, really. I just have the Dogmatica Punishment, so he's going to be able to search, I'm assuming, a Fleur-de-Lis or a Eclipsia, of course, which is going to get him a Maximus. He's going to go ahead and trigger Maxi, so I'm going to have to send a few cards to the graveyard. I just dump some of the less important ones, you know, especially when you get later in the game. He's putting up a little bit of a wall here. I'm not overly worried about it. He does have the double effect Veiler, which is kind of sucks for me. He's not going into the extra deck too, of course. And slowly but surely, my hand is getting a little bit smaller. I do always have the out to the Ecclesia in the form of the Winged Dragon of Ra, so I just need to find a way to make that happen. And he's going to continue to try to use that Maximus, of course. And I finally can get the effect of Tour Guide off and start getting some searching done. And we have Rainbow Neos, that's also a very good out to Dogmatica stuff. He did have the Fleur-de-Lis in his hand, so I'm just only going to be able to attack here. But he's going to have the tall task of having to get over this monster, and I do have protection for itself. So a pretty solid defense overall. I did finally draw a Shaddoll card, so I can just kind of hard fusion it, get rid of whatever's going on in this back row, and continue kind of to combo from there. He flips this back. A little bit of a misplay by me there to normally under the Tour Guide. It wasn't really much to go with it, but I probably, if I was going to do something, would set it down just to give myself a little bit of defense. But he's going to continue on the Armed Dragon. And keep in mind, so far he has no idea about my Egyptian God stuff, and he basically just walks into it there. I don't have too much an attack barrier to worry about at all. And when I have Hyper Blaze, which can't be Art Blaze Cannon, which can't be negated, I don't care what he activates, and he's going to try to activate Infinite Impermanence as well. He's just going to find himself in the wrong side of this game. Especially when I can give him the Kaiju and I can attack into it, because I know the attack barrier. He activates every card in the sun to try to get rid of Winged Dragon of Ra, and that's what the God card's all about. I like the direction they're going in. I just hope that the other Slifer and Obelisk cards get their search cards too, because I mean that was pretty awesome, I would say. This is one of the more interesting duels I'm going to show you this week. This guy is a highly defensive Sky Striker card. It's like pure Sky Striker, I suppose, but it feels like he has too many. He also has Dogmatica splash in there, So I'm not really sure what to make of it. He has the Ash Blossom. Of course, I don't know just quite yet, but he does have the second one, which is really going to be a pain in the tuchus. You might be asking why I would activate the Conquistador here. Well, it does act as one tribute. That is one of the advantages to it. He does have the compulsory evacuation. I am going to shuffle one of these cards back into his deck, which is nice, and give myself a search at the end of the day. I'm just trying to set myself a next turn because I'd rather just use it now than later. Give myself maybe a little bit of defense against Sky Strikers. I know he's going to attack over. I think he's going to try to go for Afterburners here, and I guess that's the right move, but maybe he's not running he is running Jamming Wave, so really I think he made really the wrong move, because this is going to be able to revive itself next turn. And then once, you know, I can get to an extent, I can get the Eldlich engine going a little bit. Really, this guy's main issue in this game is getting 3 spells in the graveyard. If you'll notice now, he's only got the 1. So he's got a lot of work to do to get the most out of these spells, and if you're going to run him at this high count, you gotta... I feel like you should just run more spells, to be honest with you. I definitely don't agree, you know, with a few of his card choices. Especially the compulsory evacuation, the dragon prison of the ice... Or dragon... Oh, this is called an ice dragon prison, that's right. Yeah, I just can't tend to agree there. He's going to miss timing with the Afterburners, of course, because I can tribute something in his turn. That is perfectly fine with me. The fact that he does this, because he still can't go into the extra deck, so now I really kind of have that lock going. He does find another way to get rid of it, but he's, at this point, exhausted all of his resources. And I misplayed here. I should have waited until he summons probably his Hayate. That would have been a 1500 attack monster, and I could have taken control of it. But I guess he didn't go for it there. So maybe it would have worked out for me. At the end of the day, it wasn't misplay. I knew he was going to do that. I get searches every single turn. You know, sometimes you do brick hard with this deck, but if you just get a little bit of it going, it's kind of like a momentum-based thing. Again, he's starting to really banish all of his resources. 2 of his Widow Anchors are gone as Afterburners and the Shark Cannon, and I believe that's another Afterburners you can get added to the list there. So I know he is, you know, controlling the game to a little bit, but I still feel okay, especially because I haven't really gotten into my Eldlich stuff just yet at all. And once he's done with this, now he's just on a Shark Cannon. That should not be much to deal with at all. And now that he can't special summon, he's going to have a bad time. He has the 1 Day of Peace, a little bit of a goofy little kind of piece of tech. But it doesn't matter. I could have, I guess, negated or something like that. I mean, I couldn't, but it's a desperation effect. I'm going to be able to use the effect of the True Monarchs. And this is... excuse me, the main reason I showed you this duel. Remember in that comment section I said, oh, it's only for dark monsters, but I could come up, and boy does it here. Just banish all of his copies of Sky Striker Ray, 1 on the field and 1 from the deck. That, I mean, he's running Rose, but the fact that he's not going to have any recursion at all, the fact that he can't special summon too, and it doesn't restrict me from special summoning at all. I just had enough perfectly for lethal, so that was a really cool, weird, interesting duel for sure. And looks like this is Necros. I'll probably make this the last one. I don't want to make these too long. I may make a Cyber Dragon video. I have a lot of discussion points. I've been playing ranked for the first time in my life, which has been an interesting experience. So I would love to make a video about that. And basically just the background will be the ABC replays for that while I talk about how good or bad I think I've been doing. And I don't think, I mean, really, I don't know if this is a death sentence. I mean, he has a bunch of this. So, yeah. But I am technically just taking control. And the Monarchs are up is more important than the Domain of the Monarchs here. But with this kind of pop ability going off here, he's going to have a hard time, you know, getting through and doing anything for his plays. This is going to help me search the Golden Land Forever, which is a negate. And he's just a sitting duck with nothing to do, which is what I just talked about. He does find a way to negate the battle phase, and I did want to talk really quickly. I know we're at 25 minutes here, but you have a card like this that stops the battle phase, and something that I learned as I've gotten better at Yu-Gi-Oh! Is proactive cards are always significantly more better than reactive cards. Like, I used to think Battle Fader was a really good card, and I'm like, it just stops the battle phase. But if you can destroy your opponent's board, so their battle phase is meaningless, then you should work towards doing that more. But I think he does it once again here. It's just stalling, and instead of having something good on his turn, it doesn't work out. I negated that, and I still wouldn't let me attack. I'm not sure. I'm sure that's one of those niche Yu-Gi-Oh rules. You guys are always better at that stuff than I am. So you have to let me know about that. And this should be way... It's not letting me attack with Vanity's Ruler. Maybe. I don't know what I did wrong. But he realizes he's not going to be able to any of his Vexed. So yeah, it looks like the rest of these are the Cyber Dragon replays. So like I said, I'll probably be doing a video about them once again. That is my favorite deck. I'll give an update on whether or not I truly believe it can be competitive after playing quote-unquote competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Which is just ranked on Dueling Nexus and Dueling Book. And I'll let you guys know how that has gone. Thank you again for so much for the support. Thank you for watching Fresh Start Friday, and I hope you guys have an absolutely wonderful night.